Alright, what's up? Welcome to another video here. Coming off the back of New Year's with a lot of energy, wind at my sails. Here's things I want to commit to myself. And I was thinking of that Instagram video. I was on Instagram edits, and there's the little 10 bullet points, and there was a guy in the background doing push-ups, and it's like, here's the 10 things you need to do to like level up. And yeah, it's very cool, like, all these great things, but I think making them my own, let's do it. So I've got them on my phone. Let's jump into it. So number one, sleeping regularly. Again, sounds crazy. It's it's really simple, but what I was thinking is, over the last year, I've fallen into this multiple times, but there's this whole mentality that musicians have to stay up late, and I do admit the best creative ideas do come out of that nighttime vibe. I don't know what happens, I'm laying in bed and I think of that melody that comes to mind. Yes, I get to stay up and maybe that big thing comes out of my head, but there are much more things and responsibilities that I have, the directors that I work with, to the people that I'm wanting to meet, to my future. There is just other tasks and admin things that sleep is a foundation for. And again, it's so simple, but sometimes I feel like I'm, taking on the stereotypes of the positions that I'm in. Being in music, it's like I'm taking on the stereotype. I've got to be staying up late in order to succeed or whatever. And it's simply just not my forte. I prefer being a morning person. I prefer getting in my, proper sleep and just being well rested and ready to work on things for the day and being able to dialogue. I'm doing a lot more talking about the films and talking about the music than even making it, especially in the beginning stages of a process here. So sleep is important, nevertheless, and it's not neglecting things that are really good for you, even when maybe they're not conventional or not typical in your certain area. I think that's really important looking at and worth bringing up. So that's number one. The second thing is, I think, doing the one thing. I believe this is a Gary Keller book, and I mentioned it way back in those other YouTube videos, but we all know what the one thing is we need to do. That's basically the summary of it. And for me, that's social media. It's a big marketing task this year. I'll sum it up again, but for those of you who are watching this for the first time, it's my goal this year to work on and hopefully get to bring my work to a TV show for the first time. So how do I find those people? How do I, have them know about me? And if we're a great fit, have those discussions. I think it's using social media. I think it's getting out there where I can have reach to a lot of people, not to go viral, but just to say, hey, I exist to my existing people, and to have someone who's stumbling across me, to have them get curious about the things that I'm doing. I just think social media is so powerful for that, and I'm wanting to get into that a lot more this year. So what it's going to take is, it's going to take getting reps in with regular content, and for me, it's trying to be a couple posts ahead on all my different platforms. There is an idea in early stage business of the minimum viable product, the MVP, and it is basically what's the scrappiest thing you can put together to test if an idea works. Now, yes, there are trends on Instagram, but working in those trends, making them fit with myself, this is something I'm figuring out a lot of, and it's going to take trial and error. It's going to take certain pieces of content that are really working with my format, or it's going to take other pieces where, maybe I'm just trying to figure out something that I really think is cool, and it's going to take some iterations to get it right. Same with a movie draft, same with a book draft, same with anything else. And so taking the time and the intentionality to be able to create that quickly without any excuses for the sake of testing is something that I really want to focus on this year. Getting in the regular reps to fail hard and fail fast at something. To understand, hey, that didn't work, or hey, that worked. To understand that quickly and to iterate on it is a very valuable asset that I'm wanting to build up this year. On that too, one of the things that involves as well is, in my one thing, is being able to get comfortable talking on camera. I think, again, this is a great one to add if you're thinking of your own 5 things to habits to build up this year. I think getting on camera and talking to it is just such a valuable thing. I'm trying to learn that right now. Actually, like thinking of ideas. I'm definitely doing the ums and ahs right now as I'm catching myself. However, just building that skill in to what you're doing is going to be valuable in any aspect, in any industry. You've got to deliver it, and talking into the camera is a really great way of doing that. So I'm wanting to build it in. Thought I'd throw that in there too. But let's get on to number 3, which is carving time for skill development. Okay, I find in a day, let's say there's an 8-hour window of work. Some of that is based on doing the actual projects, making those conversations, talking with directors, hearing about their films, and doing all that jazz. Another side is marketing, and there's all the other stuff. Another aspect is the downtime. Maybe this is outside of the 8 hours, but taking time to, again, recharge and rest and do the other health stuff, right? Go to the gym, things like that. But in the middle of that, obviously, we have breaks and we have periods of times where you can just like chill out a little bit. I think of the typical eating lunch, pulling up a YouTube video, watching that stuff. I feel like a lot of people do that, and that's a thing. So what I'm suggesting for me is I'm really wanting to take the downtimes that I have, the little breaks in the day, or even if it is just like after a long work session, and spend that with intentional passive learning opportunities. And what I mean by that is, again, we are served up an algorithm of things, but there are other activities that I know in my industry. There's films and there's other music pieces that are, worth learning about, right? For me, I'm not much of a film watcher. I came at this from a music lens. And so some people ask me about, have you watched this film yet? And I admittedly, I kind of like sigh and say like, I haven't watched that, but I like need to. And I'm telling myself this year, I want to watch more movies. It's like not necessarily a thing that someone would be like, oh, that's great, pat on the back sort of thing. But for me, it's really, really important. I'm not going to study it. I'm not going to like make all these notes and stuff. Just be involved and hear more sounds like, oh, I find that's really cool. Oh, I love the way that this does that. I love the specific moments when, this comes in. And just take mental notes. This is exactly the way that I learned jazz piano growing up. I would be working on my classical piano, and at the end of the day, there would be this opportunity to try to learn one of the pop songs that were on the radio. Learning some of the pop songs on the radio and learning the chords in that was cool. I didn't really pay much attention to it, but over time, when that's like a F major 7, and it goes into this, like the progressions of it, I then learned later on that, there's a reason why those things come together, and it got me interested. But it was because of the passive learning and just doing it for fun that I started to pick up on the nuance of those songs, pick up on the nuance of pop production, and this is the same thing that can be applied in any field. So there's a lot of like different sets of skills that go into a certain activity. And so if there's an area that you're a bit weaker in, why not just take the passive time, pull up a YouTube video on that specific topic, and start to just absorb that information. It's something that I'm really looking forward to, kind of just integrating more. And there's no expectation on it, so it'll just allow my subconscious or whatever to pick up on the ideas as they come. So that's number 3. Number 4 is keeping in touch. Now, this is super simple. I think this is going to speak a lot to, again, what we're looking for here, kind of like what we're all interested here is just like you're doing something in the creative industry, you're going after a certain goal, and usually that involves other people that are in the process. Yes, even like a hiring manager, if you're sending off interviews or something like that. And it is really important to stay connected with people and just try not to forget. I think, what is it? We hold a certain number of names in our heads of like the people that we know. I think that's a general statistic. I don't know the exact number, but it's not infinite, that's for sure. So finding systems to keep in touch with people is really, really good. Just having like a rolling sheet of like, hey, every 6 months, going up and making the effort to just say, hey, how's it going? Like, it's been a minute. How are you doing? And it goes a long way, I think. There was this mention from this speaker, Vanessa Van Edwards is her name. And she said once on a podcast, whenever you just think of someone, just reach out to them and say, like, I was just thinking of you. How's it been? Or she also says, like, oh, if you've come across something, it's like, I saw this object. It made me think of you. How's it going? More and more people you're surrounding yourself around. It's just good to have that network and that people know, like, that you're alive, number one. And you never know, right? Someone could be working on something and it might be the perfect fit. Someone might just happen to be that right person at the right time kind of moment. So just the more opportunities you have to just say, hey, how's it going? It's simple, but again, it's just a tiny intentional thing that will go a long way through. And last but certainly not least, I've written down to expect big things this year, but not like predict them. I think this idea that when you're chasing after something, it just seems to run away from you faster. But if you just let it come to you, it sort of like just happens. Again, and maybe it's a bit like woo woo, I don't know, like out there, but it just seems to work for me. And I know that this year is going to bring a lot of great things for you, and it's going to happen. I can feel it. But the timing of it, I couldn't tell you. Like, it could happen next month. It could happen 3 months from now. The timing of things is something that's out of your control. But the things that you can control is, your daily efforts that you're making towards that goal. And the hope that you have that you're going to achieve it is the thing that motivates you to get out of bed that day. It might happen. It might not happen. But the idea of it and that it's going to happen and the assurance in that, it's a weird thing, but you have to hold on to that moment to really push through and to say, yeah, that's why I'm doing all the social media. I'm going to be working at this level, but why I'm taking this moment to invest in this area right now and to build up this skill. They all come together in due time, and with everything, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So just holding on to that this year, to know that it's going to be a big year, but that it's going to take some, initial steps to, number one, build the habit in, and then it's going to take some patience for those things to reap the rewards. So that being said, those are the 5 things. If there's anything else that you're really focused on, or small habits that you're doing, or I don't know, meditating more, or being mindful about certain other things, I'm really curious to hear what that might be. And till next time, I hope you have a great one, and I'll catch you soon.